Hello, my name is John Pitchko. I'm the Associate Dean of the School of Information and Communications Technology at SAIT, and I'm very happy to be here to talk about digital transformation. So first, let's journey back to the start of the 20th century. In the early 1900s, the automobile was invented, and initially it was a very laborious effort by a group of craftsmen to have to hand produce each individual vehicle. The average price of a car in 1908 as a result of this individual small team laborious effort was about $850 per car. Sometime in the 1920s along came Henry Ford, and he had this idea that instead of having one or two people work on a car as the entire thing, to create a assembly line, a factory where cars could be mass produced. He eventually built his assembly line factory in Michigan, brand new, cutting edge for its time. And as a result, the average price of the vehicle dropped from $850 in 1908 to about $250 in 1925. That's a 71% reduction in cost for those vehicles, allowing more individuals to purchase and enjoy an automobile. This is a great example of mechanical transformation, how new technologies and materials, engineering, power sources are able to replace the slow, expensive manual labor and reduce costs and increase output of production. Moving along a little bit into the future, right now we're in the midst of a digital transformation. Started way back in the 1960s and 1970s with the introduction of large mainframe computers in enterprises, and further accelerated by deployment of personal computers in the 1980s, the internet in the 1990s, and now today we're prepared to even go further with some emerging technologies that I'll talk a little bit about later. But digital transformation is more than just the technology itself. We're not talking about creating technology for technology's sake. It's about how technology, which is digital, allows people to solve their traditional problems. It's about how we can use these new digital technologies to reduce costs, make people safer, or do things that were never before possible. Now, most people, when they hear the word digital transformation with respect to the workplace, they immediately think of paperless, the myth of the paperless office, that instead of having forms and paper be such an important part of our workday, that will all disappear and be replaced by electronic means. And so, for example, typewriters, pens, in the old days when people wanted to write mail, write letters, being replaced by computers and word processors. There was also a time when if you were away from your office and you came back, instead you would have paper copies of phone calls that were left for you, calls that you missed because you were away. And nowadays, of course, we have voicemail where people can leave short messages that can be accessed in your office, from your home, or so on. But real digital transformation goes so much deeper than just moving to a paperless office. In fact, digital transformation pervades every single factor of our workplace, even our lives. It affects not only the type of work that we do, but also how we do it, the time of day that we do it, the location that we do it, and even how we interface with our colleagues and customers and suppliers. We even have, because of digital transformation, much more access to significant amounts of information that can be used to make even more informed decisions. We have a number of emerging technologies that are coming out now that will move this digital transformation even further in the future. And I expect a lot of you have already heard or are familiar with a number of these technologies, things like cybersecurity, Internet of Things, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and so on. these technologies will have significant impact in our lives. Many of these impacts will be beneficial. For example, you see here where airlines are beginning to collaborate around using blockchain to do things like track and verify the location of baggage in real time and be able to provide that information directly to customers, to flyers, so that in real time at any point of their journey, a passenger can look at their phone and see exactly where their baggage is, whether it's in fact on their flight or going to end up to be lost somewhere. At the same time, some of these technologies will be used for detrimental purposes, such as where governments can use image recognition, wide deployment of video cameras to monitor the public, monitor their emotional state, their behavior. Our duty as educators is to teach our students not only how to use this technology in the field, but also how to do so in a way that's ethical and creates public benefit. In my school, Information and Communications Technologies, we talk about the new literacies and how we are going to embed these elements into all of our diverse programs to create graduates that will be successful in the workplace of the 21st century. Now, first, of course, is technological literacy, which is literally the ability for people to use technology to create value. Now, here it's not only teaching students how to use individual pieces of technology that are available to them now, but teaching them the underlying science, the underlying mechanics of how those technologies work and how they create value. Doing so creates an adaptable, flexible workforce so that when the inevitable new wave of bleeding edge technologies enter the marketplace, those workers still have the skills and knowledge to be able to implement those new technologies and will be less likely to be displaced by these new things coming into their industry. Second is data literacy. We live in a sea of data. Growth of digital technology, we have access to more raw information now than ever before. And industries are starting to require their workers to have mastery over how to analyze large data sets, to find answers to questions, to create new insights. And we're seeing this requirement across the board in all sorts of different career paths where one might normally not expect this. Careers like in journalism, marketing, engineering, and so on. As time moves on, these fields will more and more be expected to have to be able. Workers in those fields will need to be able to understand how to capture, analyze, and use major sets of data. Third is human literacy. Despite these rapid advancements in technology, really at the end of the day, work is all about having a group of individuals come together and unite and collaborate toward achieving a joint cause for the company. Employers have frequently told me, in fact, that as much as it is important to have technical skills, having these human skills is extremely important too. And ideally, they would love to see candidates that have mastery in both domains. Skills such as collaboration, teamwork, critical thinking, communication, customer service, and leadership. In fact, one employer recently commented to me that they would much rather hire someone new to their company who has twice the human skill but half the technical skill than vice versa, because they felt that it was not only so important for their business, but that they felt more comfortable in taking someone and teaching them those technical skills that they might be deficient in. Fourth is entrepreneurial thinking. For decades, polytechnic institutions like SAIT were built to prepare students for entering a very traditional workforce where they work under the direction of a manager. In Calgary recently, where we have employment of 8%, unemployment of 8%, attributed to a number of different recessions in the area. We're also seeing restricted capital investment from major energy companies and others. Individuals now are seeking other opportunities aside from traditional employment. Many more individuals are interested in starting their own business or working in the gig economy. Entrepreneurial thinking is critical to those roles. Those individuals need to understand how to identify an opportunity and analyze it and undertake a series of control risks to capitalize on that opportunity. At SAIT, in the School of Information and Communications Technologies, we're doing a number of things to embed these literacies into our program. We have a number of new programs that we've either recently launched or currently in development that look at teaching skills in some of these new technology domains. We've just launched a program last year in information security. We're doing programming and data analytics in both our diploma and continuing education programs. On top of that, we're doing extensive curriculum refresh and program quality assurance work, looking at all of our programs across the board, trying to find where we can add more opportunities for things like industry engagement, entrepreneurial thinking, and data literacy. And of course, we have opportunities in virtually all of our programs for students to participate in capstone projects, to participate in the production house, which will give them that experience of working directly with industry, directly with customers, and understanding not only how are tasks completed, but what is the business around that? How is that business run? How to lead teams, how to interact with customers, and ultimately deliver something that they love, or take the feedback from that experience and incorporate that into their future careers. So I encourage everyone to please think about these topics I've discussed. My email's here. Please reach out to me at any time, and let's continue to discuss this discussion and do more to prepare our students for working effectively in the workplace of the 21st century. Thank you very much.